Guys, what's up? What's going on out there today? Brent Abel here, webtennis.com. Another episode of What's the Right Shot? And let's take a look at this next shot from Mark Vines right here. And, if I stop it here and say, what do you think's the right shot? So, a couple of considerations. Number one is it kind of depends on, how you're set up to be able to play this forehand. I mean, could you hit it to both extreme angles? Could you go up the line with this shot? You could. Could you go cross court? Yeah, you could. Could you take it right back up the middle, play it more defensively? You could do that as well. Could you play a drop shot from here? I think you could. So the question then becomes two things. Number one, where do you think your opponent is most likely going to guess or anticipate where you're going to go? So that gets into your shot choice consideration as well. You've already made up your mind. At least I know Mark has made up his mind, at least here as to what he's going to do, right? But part of that is, again, it's going to be when he arrives at this ball, what are his choices, right? But he's already chosen what he's going to do based on that, and also based on what he thinks his opponent might be guessing he's going to do too. The other consideration is are you going to have to play your shot choice, and is it going to be where you're going to be falling further away from the middle? That if your opponent guesses where you're going to go, can you actually recover? And so all of that in a nanosecond, and so much of this is experience from the decades that we've all been playing tennis, but the experience also of having some idea of your opponent as well. So here's what Mark does. He takes this forehand and he decides to go cross court, right? And ends up being a clean winner. So let's get into the tech part of this forehand a little bit. And all that you really need to be thinking about, if that's your shot choice, you've decided, you've returned there, you got your opponent over onto that single sideline there in his deuce of the court, in his deuce court, and you've decided, all right, I'm going to take this cross court. So you've got to do a couple things. Number one is you got to get around the outer part of the ball, right? You got to get this racket head with a relaxed grip. I don't know how you get the racket head to come around first with a strong grip, right? So that's thing one. Can you get around the corner? And if you relax the grip, you actually create a little bit more racket speed. If you're too strong on the grip, two lousy things happen. Number one, you can't really get around it. And number two, you slow down the racket speed. So you don't want either one of those two things, right? The other thing is that you want to feel like you're not raising up just to get topspin, right? I see too often, and I've been guilty of this too. I get pulled wide in the forehand and kind of take some footwork to raise me up in terms of, well, that's what's going to impart the spin. And you don't want to feel like you need to do that. You actually want to stay down on this shot. And that's exactly what Mark does, right? So if you work on those three things, and I know that's a lot, but number one, can you relax the grip so that you can allow the racket head to get out in front and around that corner of the ball? You can address not necessarily the back of the ball, but the corner out there. Stay relaxed in the grip, get around the corner, and then just keep your body weight stable, right? Meaning that it's not raising up. Now, look, he's already sensed that recovery is not necessary. I think if he was to look up after playing the shot, right about here, feeling the ball, now looking up, right about here, out of his peripheral, he would probably get an idea of where the direction of the ball is. Well, I shouldn't say that because he already feels the direction of the ball right here. He already knows the direction. But peripheral-wise, where's his opponent? And if his opponent had already taken off and had guessed and gone to cover it, I think Mark would have put the brakes on right here and been able to easily recover just because he's got good balance. So there you have it, right? Let's back this thing up, take it through real time for you, and then I'll do a slow-mo version for you as well. And there you have it. All right, guys, any comments, any questions, remarks, feedback down below in the comments area. Love to read your stuff and respond to it. Or if you want to keep the conversation private, more than welcome to do that. Brent@webtennis.com. Here comes that slow motion, the slow motion version of this quick point. Guys, time to get out there, help someone else have a spectacular day. Guys, see you again next time. Hey guys, I highly recommend Mark's senior tennis camps over at Set Camps. Best way to get in touch with him, get more information, mevtennis@hotmail.com. Really hope today's episode was helpful for you. If so, please click that like button on YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel and click the notification bell as well, so you are always alerted every time I go live and or upload new content. And yeah, if you've not picked up my course yet, 20-minute private video on the 4 parts between points routine, you got to get on this thing. It's a huge difference maker in your game. 80% of the time when we're playing a match, guess what? We're not playing points. That time is spent between points and on side changes, and when you manage that time really well, you tend to consistently play the other 20% of the match, which is, during the points, you tend to play at the very top of your skill level, point after point after point. Go on over to webtennis.com, drop in a first name, email address, and you'll get immediate access to that private, free video on my very specific 4 parts between points routine.